What if one fighter jet could blow apart a massive dam and escape everything sent to kill it?
It's 14:23 local time. A Ukrainian Su-27 flanker, a beast of a fighter jet, is skimming the deck at just 60 meters above a winding river valley. Its target, a Russian-controlled dam, a crucial choke point for enemy supplies. The pilot's mission is simple: get in, drop the package, get out. But the Russians are waiting. The flight has been quiet, too quiet. Then, without warning, the comm shatters. Inside the cockpit, the radar warning receiver, the RWR, screams a harsh, continuous tone. It's the sound every pilot fears. Missile in the air. The calculus of survival begins instantly. The pilot has maybe 18 seconds before that missile turns his jet into a fireball. He doesn't hesitate. He slams the control stick hard right and pulls into a crushing 7G turn, muscle straining against the force, squeezing the flanker into the narrowest part of the valley below. He's now a blur, a dark streak against the river and the rocks. Up at 8,000 meters, the Russian 9M-317 surface-to-air missile is already arcing down on a ballistic trajectory. In 14 seconds, its own seeker will wake up and hunt. In 16, it will be right on top of him. The pilot fights gravity, pushing negative Gs, diving even lower until the spray from the river kicks up against his belly. He's down to 40 meters, about 130 feet. The RWR screams again, a second launch, then a third. An entire Russian Buk missile battery is now emptying its racks, firing everything they have at the valley's exit, where their computers predict he will appear, but they've made a fatal mistake. They're shooting at where the Su-27 should be, not where it is. Why? Because of the missile's two-stage guidance. For most of its flight, it flies on inertia toward a predicted point, getting course tweaks from ground radar every half second. But those tweaks are only good if the radar has a solid track quality on the target. Drop below 60% quality, and the corrections become guesses. And when a Su-27 is pulling 7 Gs at 40 meters, ducking behind terrain, track quality plummets to a useless 15%. This is where the flanker's raw power saves the day. With a thrust-to-weight ratio of 1.09 better than many Western fighters, it can sustain those brutal, energy-sucking turns without bleeding speed. The pilot rolls inverted, pulls through a gut-wrenching split S down to 20 meters, then reverses into a climbing barrel roll. He's throwing the geometry off, forcing the missiles to constantly recalculate a puzzle that has no solution. Then the first missile seeker goes active. The pilot has 3 seconds. He rolls 120 degrees and wrenches the jet into a tributary valley branching north. The missile seeker cone sweeps through empty air. Confused, it detonates harmlessly 400 meters behind him. The second and third missiles suffer the same fate, defeated by dirt and stone. By the time a fourth arrives, the Su-27 is 6 kilometers away and accelerating. The first Buk battery is defeated, its launcher empty. But the Russians aren't done. A second launcher, 3 kilometers south, has a better angle. Its radar gets a solid lock as the flanker crosses a rare 2-kilometer gap between ridges. Track quality jumps to 75%, more than enough for a high-confidence shot. They fire. The Ukrainian pilot gets a new warning, but his jet is equipped with more than just basic alerts. Its advanced RWR doesn't just beep, it analyzes. It measures the Buk's radar signals and, in a flash of electronic genius, calculates the battery's location within 200 meters. The pilot knows exactly where the threat is. Now, can he get out of the way? And Su-27 isn't a tiny dogfighter. It's heavy. Its wing loading means it needs nearly 800 meters to make a 180-degree turn at combat speed down low. A tight dodge is out. So he does the opposite. He points the nose to the sky and firewalls the throttles. Twin AL-31F engines, each delivering 27,500 pounds of thrust. Roar. The jet rockets upward at a 70-degree angle, climbing like a homesick angel. In 15 seconds, it gains 1,500 meters of altitude. This simple, violent maneuver breaks the missile's logic. The 9M-317 is optimized for targets below 15,000 meters. When its target suddenly zooms upward in the terminal phase, its control surfaces can't cope. Both missiles overshoot their proximity fuses detecting the jet but calculating a miss too great, detonating uselessly 200 meters below. Breathing hard, the pilot pushes over at 1,600 meters and dives back toward the deck to resume his run on the dam. But the zoom climb was a calculated risk. It made him visible. And something was watching. 95 kilometers southeast, a Russian, a 50U Mainstay airborne early warning plane orbits at 10,000 meters. Its powerful radar can track hundreds of targets. The Su-27, now back down low, is just a ghost, a fleeting blur that appears and vanishes every 20 seconds as it weaves through the valleys. But the F-50's crew are professionals. They correlate a dozen of these ghost contacts, and their computer spits out a 78% probability, a low-level penetrator heading east along the rivers. The A-50 earns its pay. It instantly data links this intelligence to the nearest Russian fighter, a cutting-edge Su-35S flying combat patrol just 34 kilometers away. In the Su-35's cockpit, the data appears as a cue box on the display. The pilot doesn't need to search. He knows exactly where to look. He pushes his more powerful AL-41F engines to military power and turns to Intercept. He selects 2 R-77 missiles. The parameters are perfect. Target low and fast, 35 kilometers out. He fires. This is the most deadly threat yet. The R-77 isn't like the ground-based missile. Its seeker is an active electronically scanned array AESA, a miniature brain that can see 120 degrees off its nose. Once launched, it flies most of the way on its own, then goes active and hunts independently. The Ukrainian pilot's RWR screeches the launch warning. He has about 50 seconds. Time for one move. He accelerates to 920 kilometers per hour, descending back to a suicidal 30 meters above the water. The R-77 screams toward him at Mach 2.8. He waits, heart pounding, until the last possible second. Then he executes a maneuver that pushes man and machine to the limit, a 9.5 G pull, combined with an inverted roll, using every ounce of the flanker's legendary lift and thrust to avoid stalling. As he completes the turn, he tucks the jet behind a 500-meter ridgeline. At that precise moment, the R-77 seeker goes active. Instead of a clear shot, it sees a wall of rock. Confused, it pulls up to clear the ridge, buying 3 precious seconds. When it crests the hill, the Su-27 is gone, having turned 90 degrees down a perpendicular valley. The missile's logic calculates a best guess and detonates its 22 kg warhead. 4,000 tungsten fragments spray, but the flanker is 800 meters away. A second R-77 meets the same fate. The Su-35 pilot considers the chase, but his fuel is low. He breaks off. The Ukrainian is alone again, but the dam is now in reach. Beneath his wing hangs the reason for this hellish flight, a GBU-38 JDAM-ER, a 500-pound bomb with pop-out wings that let it glide over 40 kilometers. Even while dodging missiles, the pilot has been priming it. He flips the master arm switch. Inside the bomb, a GPS receiver wakes up, searching for satellites. It gets a lock. The weapon knows where it is, and it knows the target's exact coordinates, the critical joint where the dam spillway meets the main structure. On his display, the status changes, weapon ready. But as he climbs to the 3,000 meters needed for the bomb's glide range, a new threat emerges. The Russians are protecting the dam with a Zetel system, a sophisticated GPS jammer. It doesn't just broadcast noise, it broadcasts lies, perfect replicas of GPS signals with corrupted timing data. The JDAM civilian-grade receiver is fooled, its location spinning wildly. The Ukrainians, however, had anticipated this. Their Su-27 seconds are modified with military-grade anti-spoofing GPS. While the bomb is confused, the jet's own system holds a true lock. The pilot flies a specific profile, hitting a narrow 10-second gap in the jamming pattern at exactly 3,000 meters. In that window, he sends one final authenticated position update to the bomb. The JDAM accepts it. Pickle. He presses the release button. The bomb falls cleanly. In slow motion, you'd see its wings and tail fins snap open with a mechanical thunk, transforming it from a dumb iron bomb into a smart glider. Almost immediately, the GPS jamming overwhelms it again. It's blind, but it got that final fix. Now, it flies on its internal inertial navigation ring laser gyros and accelerometers so precise. Their drift will be less than 40 meters over the 4-minute flight. Wind pushes it. The guidance computer makes micro-adjustments. It doesn't need to hit a button, it needs to hit a zone. Ukrainian intelligence knew about the jamming, so they didn't target a pinpoint. They targeted a 70-meter section of the dam's weak point. The bomb descends through 1,000 meters, 500, 200. It noses over into a terminal dive, accelerating to 410 kilometers per hour. The radar altimeter counts down. 100, 50, 20, impact. The 87-kilogram warhead detonates with the force of a small earthquake. A pressure wave of over 4 million psi shatters concrete designed for 5,000. An 8-meter crater explodes into existence at the precise joint, cracks spiderweb through the structure. For a second, nothing. Then, with a groan felt in the bedrock, a 15-meter section of the spillway collapses. A wall of water, 14,000 tons of pressure per square meter, finding its escape, thunders through at 12,000 cubic meters per second. In his cockpit, far away and already turning for home, the pilot sees the secondary explosion on his targeting pod, a flash of light, then a growing white torrent where the dam used to be. No radio celebration, just the heavy sound of his own breathing and the steady roar of the engines. He's low on fuel, likely painted on a dozen radars, with a long, dangerous flight back through hostile airspace. But the mission is complete. The tide, at least for today, has been stemmed